Welcome, everyone, to In the Know with Kat Bobino. Today, my extra special guest is Dr. Andrea Hairston. I know she says no one calls her that, but I refuse. You work hard to get a PhD, then you are a doctor in my book. And her PhD is in mathematics. Right. And so that's one of the things we're going to start talking about tonight. So again, if you're watching this on Facebook Live and you have questions or you want to join the conversation, make sure that you write in the comment section. I should see it right here, and I can read it out loud. But, Drea, tell us, why math?
Math. I love math. I've always been interested in math. And I think I'm a problem solver at my core. Mm-hmm. And that's what mathematics is all about, solving problems. So I think that's what got me into math from the very beginning.
Wow. Math is okay to me. Once you start adding in some letters, and then I have to remember all the formulas with the letters and what the letters stand for, I think that's where it kind of lost me.
I really struggle when people say, I'm not good at math, or, oh, I hate math, because that's usually what happens. Right. People ask me what I do. I say I'm a mathematician, and they say, I hate math. And then I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that. But one thing people never say is, I hate reading. Right. True. I really, it's almost an embarrassment to struggle with reading. But for some reason with math, it's okay to not be good at it. And that's one thing that really bothers me. That's my little soapbox thing.
No, that's all good. One of the things I will say is I've had people tell me they don't like reading.
Okay.
And it's sad.
It's sad.
It's very sad.
But if you say you don't like math, people are like, oh, yeah, that's reasonable. I get it.
I get that. It's the same people probably who says they don't like science.
Yeah.
See,
and you're a scientist. Yeah.
And I got my degree in biology, and I'm like, oh, my God, let's talk about science. Nope. It's above my head. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. But...
See, for me, math is so fundamental to life, just like reading, right?
Yeah.
It's not a specialty. It is math in everything that you do. So I just really, I'm like, everybody needs to have some basic competency in math.
Yeah. I used to be, many moons ago, I used to be a vet tech. And a friend of mine, she was a math person. I was a science person. So we would share all these, before memes were big, we'd find jokes and share them. And I always had to be honest. As much as I would talk about it, math is the basis of all things. You can't do science, you can't do tech, engineering, you can't do any of that without math. Yeah, so it is the basis. I give you that. And it's not that I don't like math. It's just I know my strengths and my weaknesses, and I know how far to go.
Got it.
Yeah, I appreciate math.
Okay.
So, I'll take that. But what school did you go to? What made you get into it?
Okay, so my life story a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I am originally from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
And I grew up there, born and raised. And I was always interested in math, so I took a lot of math classes, did a lot of math camps, did all this extra little stuff around mathematics in Detroit. And I'm really grateful that they had those programs there, because I was just an inner city kid going to public school. And then I went off to Howard University.
Okay.
HU. Uh-huh. And I did not know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I knew I was good at math. And at that time, I didn't have a good concept of what you could do with a math degree.
Right.
Right. Math was something you kind of did to do. And I wasn't necessarily a number cruncher. So, I didn't want to go into finance or anything. I liked the problem solving aspect of math.
Okay.
So I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I figured I could major in math because I was good at it.
Right.
Right. So I was like, this should be easy and fun for me. So I majored in math at Howard. And I think and I also majored in philosophy. So I was philosophy math major.
Okay.
Because I really, like I said, I'm not necessarily a number cruncher. I really enjoy some of those analytical things behind the mathematics.
Right.
And that's how the philosophy kind of plays in. And so during my time at Howard, I had a professor who said, you're really good at this. You should really think about graduate school, that sort of thing. Shout out to HBCUs.
Right.
So he was, he said, you should really think about graduate school. And that wasn't even on my radar. But he told me about some research opportunities that were available for undergraduates. And so that was meant to give me a little bit of a taste of what it meant to do mathematics at a higher level. Mm-hmm. So I did one of those one summer when I was in undergrad, and I really enjoyed it. You know, it was a big open research problem, and we were all there, and we were trying to figure it out together, and I really loved that atmosphere, and I was like, yes, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
So, so graduate school was on my radar, so I had to, apply and do all that, and I took a lot of extra courses to kind of prepare myself for graduate school.
Okay.
And I got in. And so I went to Duke for my graduate degree. And
okay.
Spent a long time there trying to get a PhD in math. So it was a long, hard slog, but I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say, I went to an HBCU too, mm-hmm. and I never hate on a PWI. However, smaller schools, especially HBCUs, the professors are more hands-on.
Absolutely.
And they will guide you. They'll say, hey, I see your spark. Let me light it a little bit. Let me put some gasoline on that spark, mm-hmm. and send you hopefully in the right direction, which is amazing. So I'm glad that you had that professor.
I am too. I don't know if I would have ended up where I ended up without somebody like him.
Right.
Because I just didn't have that. I didn't have that example. I didn't know other mathematicians. I didn't know any mathematicians.
Right.
Like the idea of a mathematician was just something that, I hadn't seen. So
I get that. Unfortunately, that is one of the aspects of STEM and all of our things we do with STEM is because we don't see us in there. We don't mm-hmm. see people who look like us in some of the fields that we can be in, that Absolutely. We belong in, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm thankful for you agreeing to be on the podcast and on the show to share that, and so that people can see someone like them cool. On this.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. So after school, after graduating, you finally got your PhD.
Finally got my PhD, and I went off to work for the Department of Defense, the U.S. federal government Department of Defense, in the intelligence community.
Wow.
Yeah, they needed the agency I work for employs quite a bit of mathematicians. Mm-hmm. And so I went to do some applied math research there, and I spent about 7 years working there.
So is that in D.C.?
In D.C.
Okay. And
in D.C. area, yeah.
What were some of the things that you kind of worked on?
So, I did a lot, actually. It was there that I was able to take some of the math fundamentals that I learned, because I studied pure math, which mm-hmm. was... And I thought I was going to go into academia and be a professor and all of that.
Right.
But when I got into the government, they really steered me into more of an applied math because we have to solve problems.
Right.
And so that's where I picked up a lot of the coding that I learned and programming skills and software engineering skills and that sort of thing. So what that agency was really looking for was problem solvers.
Right.
So whatever problem there was, they hired mathematicians because they knew that they had the capacity to solve problems and that they could pick up things. So I ended up picking up quite a few skills outside of mathematics to solve some really cool and hard problems.
That's amazing. That's all I can say. But it makes sense, right? With math or the research of math and using mm-hmm. math in that perspective is problem solving.
It's problem solving.
That's really all it is. So, if you have a child or a youth in your life that's into games or into solving an issue or solving mm-hmm. a problem, math can be their platform for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because like we said, math is the fundamental of everything. So you need math to get it to the next level.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun.
Right.
That was fun.
7 years of fun.
7 years of fun,
okay.
for sure. And feeling like you were working on some stuff that really had some impact, and the organization that I worked for, dealt with a lot of data. Mm-hmm. Before this big data thing was really a thing, they were always dealing with these large volumes of data. So I got a lot of experience with some of the technology that's so common now that people are talking about artificial intelligence and data science and all that. And I feel like I was doing that before it was really a thing.
At least 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, before everyone's talking about it.
And before there was a name for it,
Right. And I do have another friend of mine. Her name is Adamika. She started another nonprofit, she started a nonprofit called Self-Esteem with a bunch of amazing women. But she also has her degree in math, mm-hmm. And because of that and an MBA, she was able to do data science before data science was a thing.
Yep.
And so now that's all the jobs I see is data science. And I actually had I had met a professor at an HBCU in Texas, and he was like, "You should get a master's in math." And I was like, "Okay, like my degree's in science, so I don't see how I could do the master's in math." But I'm gonna say he was right. If I got a master's in math, I'd probably be doing data science right now.
That's the hot thing right now, for sure.
It is. It is. So, from your experience in the government, do you think that you should be considering that as a possible career option?
Oh, data science?
Or math in general?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes. I just don't think you can go wrong. I think there's so many different directions you can go in with a math degree. I have other colleagues who have worked for finance companies. I have colleagues that have worked for insurance companies. There's really no limit. I've had some friends who did really great things with Major League Baseball and sports analytics and that sort of thing with math degrees.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been trying to find out here. I'm like, someone here is doing the statistics for the A's.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Giants. Or someone's doing the work for the Raiders and the Warriors. And so I'm looking for those people to bring on the show. Because I think that would also encourage our next group of kids to be like, oh.
Absolutely.
Because you already know the statistics. They already know it. They just don't realize that they're just doing math.
That's
the same basis of it. So if you know anyone, let them. They can be on the show.
Okay.
So, but after you've worked 7 years in the government and D.C., what brought you to California?
My family. So my husband got an opportunity out here in the Bay Area, and I was just like, this is Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah.
Like I should give it a shot, and we decided to move our family out here, and I had a couple of connections here at some of the big tech companies. But there was a position at Netflix that really interested me, and it was about education. It was really a developer education role where they were trying to help enable their employees to better leverage data, right?
Okay.
So Netflix, has access to a lot of data. They like to better leverage it for a lot of reasons, right? To better inform their members' recommendations for their finance, for their marketing, whatever, And so they had this effort going on internally to better educate everyone, not just the data scientists, but everyone in the company to leverage the data that they had. And so I thought that was great for me, because one thing I learned over those 7 years with the government was that I'm a pretty good mathematician, but I'm also a very good communicator.
Oh, okay.
And I really liked teaching people and helping people and enabling people and that sort of thing. So I was like, this position was made for me. So I applied for that. I got it. So I'm at Netflix now. I don't actually do that.
Okay. You started there.
I started there.
Right.
Yeah. But now I still work with data and data engineers, and it's still kind of like an empowering and enablement role, but I work as a technical program manager. I still sometimes write code. I don't do much of the nitty-gritty mathematics anymore, but it always comes into play, right? Something that I need to remember how to do. Maybe I need to do some quick stats for a report or something like that. It always comes up.
Okay. So this is an off-subject question, kind of. So are you really good at Excel then? And all of the formulas and putting them in Excel?
I'm getting better with Excel. You know what? Because of my background, I'll take something that somebody gives me in Excel and I'll put it in a Python, like a Jupyter notebook, and run and just do what I need to do in Python.
Okay.
And I'll export it back to Excel for you, because I just didn't use Excel a lot in my career, but a lot of basic programming languages I feel much more comfortable with.
Right. I know someone who loves in Excel and all the math in Excel. And I'm a novice. Not gonna tell me, because
it's a difference. My husband is finance. He works in finance, and he is much better with numbers. I tell people this all the time than I am. Right? Like I'm the person with the math degree, but he's way better with numbers and Excel and things like that.
Okay.
And run circles around me. But yeah, for me, like math is about, thinking really deep.
Yes.
So.
It is. It's a lot. And I think a lot of times people don't realize how much math impacts them. Mm-hmm. How much math we do every day, how much math is in our daily lives. And even with some of the streaming like Netflix and the rest of them, I'm not going to say them.
We don't have to talk about them.
We don't have to talk about them.
Because they don't compare.
Okay. But, as we don't, sometimes I don't think we realize how long Netflix been around and how much has changed over the years.
Yes.
And so it went from streaming a couple of things and getting DVDs in the mail to now making their own TV shows, making their own movies, and just doing all this amazing stuff. Like people, it is hard to compare. Mm-hmm. To Netflix.
Yeah, well, when you're the pioneer, right, like you kind of have a little bit of a head start on everybody.
True.
So, yeah, but it's changed a lot, and a lot of that is informed by the data, right? And so we do a lot of experimentation, a lot of data science to just try as enjoyable to the members as possible.
Okay. So, you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is there something we should be looking forward to with Netflix in the next couple years?
I don't know. I think some cool things have happened, like, within the last year. And I don't know if many... Yeah, I don't know if people are, watch Black Mirror, but we had this Bandersnatch episode where you got to sort of choose your own adventure type of thing. Like, that was a huge thing, right? Like watching TV and real time, making a decision, and then like the story just continues on based on the decision that you made. There was so much that went into that. Like it was
I'm not even gonna lie, like that came out during a holiday, right? Because I remember, so if you guys have watched this show or episode, or not this episode, but the show before, my producer Rock, who sometimes head gets in the way in the film and with the filming, we were at his house watching that. Oh, okay. And I feel like him and his wife had already seen it, but they made us watch it because they was like, y'all have to watch this and then pick what's going to happen next. And I feel like they watched it a few times actually because they kept picking different outcomes. And but yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that's right. Crazy, right? It was super interesting, but very outside the box.
Yes, and I think that's kind of where Netflix likes to position itself. Like we're going to try the innovative things, right? But we're not going to get away too much from like just showing you movies, right? And showing you TV and like entertaining you. We don't really want to do a whole bunch of other stuff.
I don't know. I feel like they can make another Bandersnatch thing because that was pretty cool.
That was cool. Yeah,
I think. And then they made Bird Box, right?
Yes.
And
that blew up. That was a meme and everything.
My goodness! And then what was scary was people blindfolding themselves and actually trying to drive.
That was crazy.
That was scary. I'm not gonna. That just
we take no responsibility.
Right. That just kind of goes to show you how some people's mentality is. I'm not gonna hate on them, but whatever. That's your mentality, right? Yeah. So, but anyway, so we see in that, and so Netflix, do they have other things, I guess, in the works because of the data that they might be bringing us in the future?
I can't think of anything to Netflix. If you want to see like Nigerian dramas, right? Like you can see that on Netflix. You can see Bollywood movies on Netflix. You can see everything on Netflix.
You can see black and white movies, some older movies, new movies, everything in between. I think I just watched Bebe's Kids again.
Wow, see?
On Netflix.
and I think so some streaming services might be like really highbrow about like what they want to show, and we're like, no, we want to entertain people, right? Like, what do they like? Right. That's what we'll show.
Yeah, I just watched Grease. For like the millionth time.
Exactly. That's what people
Netflix,
like. Right. So we don't have to do a whole lot of crazy, new and innovative things, right? We just got to give the people what they want.
And I respect that. So what do you see math going in the next couple of years? I mean, math's been around forever. Yeah. Since ancient times. But what do you think math is going to bring us in like the next couple years?
So I think, like even today, I don't think I would recommend somebody just do math, right? Like I think it has to be math with something else.
Okay.
Partly because, like I said, when I was studying pure math in graduate school, I had this vision of becoming a professor, but like academia has changed.
Yes.
Right. So it's hard to get professor jobs now. It's like oversaturated. You have a lot of people with PhDs who can't get a position at a university or college, right?
Right.
Or they're working at 2 and 3 or 4 different community colleges just to kind of put a paycheck together. And so I wouldn't put all my eggs in like that academic basket anymore. So I would take your math, pair it with something very like applicable and practical, and move in that, right? So like math and an MBA. Yeah, that sounds great, right? Like math and computer science. Can't go wrong with that, right? Like, I know people have done math and like art and math. I mean, just a bunch of different things. Because I think the math gives you analytic skills, and in any industry, people are always looking for people. You're always gonna have to analyze something, right? Like there's always gonna be something to analyze. So I think what I would encourage students today to think about is like, what do you like to do? And can you pair it up with math? Like, can math enhance that in some way?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying like, because I know a lot of people who are considering science and math, in order to be the data scientist for research projects, and I think there's a big field growing like biostatistics.
Yes. Yep.
That's growing. And I don't know. I think I have a fear, and maybe you can douse the fires of my fear when it comes to bioscience. But as someone who likes science and who likes being outside and doing research, I don't want to be the person stuck at the computer doing the math and the data. I'd rather be the person out there doing the research.
I get that. And I think that's important. And I think, and I don't think that's going to go away. But I do think you need some well-trained people to be the person at the computer. So what's happening right now is we have a ton of data. And if we don't have well-trained people who can analyze that data, I think they could do a lot of damage. Right. And we already see that kind of happening.
Right.
Where people just kind of like don't know what they're looking at, don't know how to interpret it, do some analysis, but like have a very weak understanding of like what went into it. And they make recommendations that just aren't right, you know? So I don't think like that field research will ever go away. But I also think you want somebody really strong at the computer too. Right.
And I think, because I did have some people who were in research who asked me, Kat, can you come do this, but we want you to do the data? I'm like,
it's just not your thing.
I can't just do data. I'm not saying I can't do it, but I can't just do data.
Right.
And I think that there are people who can, and that's cool. It's just not me.
And the problem is if they get a mathematician to come do the data, then that mathematician doesn't know the bio that they need to like, really help you. And so that's something I think like mathematicians run into quite a bit. It's like needing some kind of domain knowledge, right? Like, and Netflix, I had to learn a little bit about how we stream movies and, that sort of thing. It wasn't something I knew before, but I had to go in there and learn a little bit of it.
Yeah. So you feel like the work you did with the government prepared you for Netflix?
Absolutely. Because with the government, I didn't get hired in to do a particular job. It was like, come in and be a mathematician and we're going to put you wherever we need you. And so you need to go and learn. Like if it's, if we're talking about, I don't know, wireless radios and we need some sort of mathematical analysis about those kinds of signals, right? I had to go and learn about wireless radios and that sort of thing. And if we need you over here, doing some other kind of data analysis for a whole nother domain, do that, right? And so I was just very used to being agile in that way, just kind of learning the space, and then taking what I knew and applying it to that space.
Okay. Yeah. That's really cool. So the government kind of threw you in the middle of the pond, but you figured it out.
Absolutely.
Because your analytical skills, you're able to figure it out. So, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And one of my favorite movies, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, Hidden Genius.
Oh.
Or Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures.
Why did I say Hidden Gems? I don't know. But anyway, Hidden Figures.
Yes.
And all the work that they did. And how do you feel about that? Like their pioneer work with the government in math and then bringing that to the forefront. I
thought that was amazing. I've watched that movie so many times. I thought it was great. And I think that's kind of like the story for a lot of women and Black women, right? That like you're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. Sometimes you don't even know like what the outcome of it is going to be, right?
Right.
But you're doing a lot of work behind the scenes and you don't often get recognized for it. And so I thought the movie was great because we would have never known those names.
Never.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Catherine is still alive.
Yeah.
You know, that's amazing. Like this story happened in our time frame. And she's still alive and they're still honoring her.
Yeah.
And they probably would have never honored her if someone didn't take the time out to write the book and then create the movie.
Yep.
So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I recently had a woman in here who's getting her PhD in chemistry and biology, and she works with microtubules and all this greatness at Berkeley. But she was talking about how she'll go to a conference and she's the only person of color or only Black woman there. How do you feel like that when it comes to mathematics and being a Black woman in mathematics?
I'm always the only person. always the only one. I was the only one in the 6 years that I was at Duke getting my PhD. Only Black woman in that program at that time. And I think I've gotten so used to it. I've been in a lot of spaces where I've been the only one. But what has benefited me, I think, is to have a community. So there's some great organizations out there. National Association of Mathematicians, which is actually a Black organization.
Okay.
The Conference for African American Researchers in the Mathematical Sciences. And those organizations are like a family reunion, right? Like,
right,
so
exactly.
You go to work every day, you go to all these other professional conferences, but then those conferences,
right,
like that's where you kind of get refreshed and, you know, rejuvenated, like because you find other people that look like you. And I think that's really important. So it's fine. I'm the only one in those spaces, but I don't know if I could only ever see people like me. Like, I think it's important to like have some type of community that you can feel comfortable with and to kind of touch base with them and connect with them often.
Right. So I think it's kind of like there's multiple levels to being in these groups. You know, you got the mathematicians of one group. We're all we love it. We math people, got it. And then you got people of color in math. And then you got Black people in math, you know, and there's different levels.
Yep.
Like, I love science. I'm definitely seeing multiple of other races in science. A lot times, way more than I see myself.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to shun them. You know, they're still helping me pioneer my way, and I'm helping them. And so it's important to be open-minded.
Absolutely.
But then you do see someone who looks like you, who has your interest, and now that's just a whole nother level.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a whole nother moment of you're like, what? You like what I like?
Yep.
We can converse about this? So, yeah, I completely understand that sentiment.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I just, I would love to see more Black women in math and science. And I think, it just really comes down to making it accessible and, giving them more exposure. I think that's all it comes down to. But I have like nieces and they're not interested in math, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they see me, but they're not interested in math, and that's fine.
Same here. I actually had one niece who was like, I like biology, and I'm gonna talk about her. And she was like, I love biology. Biology is so easy in high school, and then she went to college, and she was like, what the hell is college biology? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could have called me. Like, right here. I could have helped you, walked you through it. And she was like, nope, not a biology major anymore.
Aww.
It's like, but you were one after my own heart. Like, you were going to do biology. It's cool, though. I can't be mad at it. But I get it.
Yeah. But I have my own children now. So, like, and they're really young, but I'm kind of indoctrinating them a little bit. So I tell people this all the time, like, how do you get your kids, like, interested in math? I just I think it's really important to point out math everywhere.
Right.
So like when my little ones, my youngest, were like first learning to like walk up the stairs, we would just count stairs as we walked, right? Like, and then you know, as they get older and they're all wild and active, because I have 3 little boys and they're very active.
Oh, all boys.
and now when they're jumping downstairs, right? Oh, okay, so you want to skip stairs? Well, we're gonna count by 2s, right? Like, you know, it's just like it's a way to like incorporate it and make it fun and make it really practical, so it doesn't seem like something that's like abstract and far off and not useful.
Right. I always say that, like, I don't have kids, so if I ever were to have kids, I'm pointing out the science behind everything that they do. You know. And then I do have this awkward thing, so I love playing domino. Okay. It's just my thing. I like it. So when I am driving or I'm riding in a car and I see a license plate, I count it. And for whatever reason, I get like a little joy of happiness if it's a multiple of 5. You know, but other than that, I just count the numbers on the license plate. And that's just one of my little, I guess, weird quirks that I have. But it just reminds me of dominoes, because if it's a multiple of 5, I'm like, oh, shit. That license plate is the bomb. It's super...
But it's good. It keeps it
weird to me.
I think that's good. I think being able to sort of like see numbers in different places and all that, it just makes it more real.
Yeah, it does. And then, you know, incorporating that with kids young, you know, they always say that a kid's brain is super soft. It doesn't have all the ridges in it just yet, you know, because they're learning. And this is the best time to teach them anything, a new language or science or math or anything like that, because as their brains start to become the ridges of memory and things like that, like, it sticks with them.
Absolutely.
And so I'm a big advocate for kids learning more than what we're showing them on TV or putting them in school to learn. Like, this is the best time to get them going, get them started in things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you do if your kids was like all math majors?
I think I'd be happy, you know, I'd be happy, but, you know, you worry too, like, you don't want them to, like, feel pressure. So, you know, I don't know, I just want them to kind of find their own way. But this is what I was saying to you in the beginning of the program, like, they don't have to be math majors, but I want them to have, like, I don't want them to have math anxiety or math fear. And I want them to have like a really good level of like basic math competency, right? Because you go out here, you know, you talk to a cashier and their register goes down and they like start to sweat if they have to do this like by hand. And I don't want that for my kids, right?
Right. I think I saw it on Facebook. Somebody, I went to the store and their purchase was like $14.37. And they gave them $20.50, and they were like, I just want a 5-pack, and they were like trying to do the math, and it was like, it's $5.03. Give me the 5-pack. But it was hard
because people get really anxious around math, and I that's what makes me kind of sad, right? That's what I was talking about with the I just want to, if I could get rid of math anxiety, right, like that would be my one wish.
I don't know. I think I think that's a great thing for you to do. Nah, I'm serious. Like, that's a great, what's the word I want to use here? That's a great goal to aspire to. There's so many things that we got to get ourselves outside of being anxious about, you know, and that's just one of them. And I think that's admirable. It should be one of them. But, you know, I've seen kids today in like elementary or middle school, because of technology, you know, they don't want to read.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't want to read. And I'm like, every time I see a kid with a phone or a tablet, their head is down, you know, chin touching their chest plate. And I'm like, you gonna get a neck ache. You know? Can you look up? You know, look out the window, something. And I see it all the time. Yep. I'm like, here's a book. Like, but, you know, we had a coworker who has started implementing like reading time, whole family reading time on Sundays. And I think she started with like 10 minutes and now it's grown to 20 minutes just to make sure that everyone stops and read.
Yeah, I think that's really great.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, it could be done with math. You think?
Maybe. I don't
10
know.
minutes every Sunday. We're going to do a little math.
A game. You
a
game
make it
of
game.
Math. Yeah, math game.
You know, me is dominoes, but whatever.
That's cool too, you know.
Is there a math game? I think there are math.
Oh, there's plenty of math games. Don't ask me. I'm the nerd. I get all the math games.
And then you whoop everybody in.
Well, you know.
I ain't mad. I'm not mad at all. I get it. You know, but that's cool. So, outside of math, like we talked a lot about math tonight. So, outside of math, what do you do? What's fun for Dr. Hairston?
So, I did mention that I am the mom of 3 little boys. So, I'm quite busy with them and their activities. But we're probably a sports family, you know. So, we do a lot of sports. I like to play sports too. That's the only way. Like I don't have time to really go to the gym and all that. Right. So I like to play with the kids and do that sort of thing. That's my way to really get like a quick workout in. So sports, watching or playing, and then I would say, I'm a bit of a foodie, so I like to go to nice restaurants.
I'm a foodie.
Yeah,
I'm definitely a foodie. So.
Yeah.
But what sports? What's your game of choice?
I played basketball when I was younger. I played softball in college, so I still do both. I coached my son's team last year. With, the little boys. Okay. And so that was fun. But yeah, basketball or baseball probably be my sports.
So who is your team? I know you're not a Bay Area native.
I'm not a Bay Area native.
It's okay if it's not a Bay Area team.
I mean, I like the Warriors for sure, but I'm always a hometown. Like, Detroit is my hometown. Right. So I root for all the Detroit teams. Okay. No matter how terrible they are.
I was about to say.
Always very terrible.
I don't be hearing a lot about the Lions. I'm a football person.
Yeah, so the Lions are always awful.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, but they you know are always sold out, you know, like Detroiters support them. It's crazy. Pistons, Detroit Pistons and basketball team, I support them, and the Tigers, the baseball team.
So. Okay. I don't have anything to say about them because I don't.
Yeah, no, it's Detroit. I mean, it's just a Midwest, you know, city. It's not the big flashy. But the Pistons had a good run like a little while back, right, where they won some championships.
Yes, so. I remember. I'm not a big basketball person, but I remember hearing about it, you know. But I'm an Oakland native, so when the Warriors was winning, that was like, oh, there's this basketball here. Let me watch, you know. Yeah. And I still didn't watch until championship game. So what can I say?
But are you a Raiders fan? Or?
I am a Raiders fan.
Okay.
Most definitely. Mad at them for going to Vegas. I will not be a Vegas Raider fan. I am an Oakland Raider fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
She made that very clear.
Yes. So I will be wearing the Oakland Raider gear when they go to Vegas. I refuse to change my outfit. I refuse to buy Raider Vegas stuff. I will only rock Oakland Raiders. Okay, that's my PSA. I'm done. I'm off my pedestal about that. Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. When they went to L.A., at least they were still in California. I still wasn't feeling it. But whatever. You know. Won't hate on them. So the sports fan and all the sports, or baseball and basketball.
Most of the sports, though. Like, I mean, I think, if that's sports, if you invite me to a sports outing, I'm there no matter what.
Have you been to the Black Hole or been to a Raiders game?
No. I have not.
How long you lived out here?
It's been a short while.
Okay. I give you that. I give you that. You missed out. It's okay. It's okay. I'm pretty sure you guys tailgate well.
Yeah, so that's something. I mean, like I said, I have a little one, so like it's always we're still trying to get our lives back. But yeah.
Moving out here, having a family,
moving across the country. That was big.
I know. Big. But I mean, you guys took an opportunity and you jumped on it, so you know
we did.
Can't be mad at that. But I do want to keep in touch, and I want to know what to look out for the Netflix, because I'm gonna be. I like my Netflix. I watch my Netflix all the time.
Follow Strong Black Lead on Instagram so you can find out all.
Strong Black Lead. What did they do?
That's the Netflix channel for people like us.
What? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So they do a lot of they kind of give people a heads up about the content that's coming on that we might be interested in.
Look that up right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at that. Now, this is a personal question. Personally from me. how do I get my show on Netflix? I've been searching for that for like 2 years.
It's really hard. I'll say, like, we don't, and Netflix does not take any pitches or anything. You have to have an agent, and it is very Hollywood, right? So
I can see that because I'm like, I want to do a science show. And I was like, y'all gave a science show to RZA. I mean, I'm not going to hate on RZA, but it only lasted 1 season for a reason. So, no hate. But I'm like, yeah, give it to a scientist. Like, how about that? How about we give the science show to an actual scientist?
Yeah. No, you need an agent, and you need to go through that whole process, the whole Hollywood process.
Damn it! I'm working on it though, because once you get an in with Netflix, that's an in. People gonna watch your show.
Yeah,
on Netflix.
They do. Got a lot of viewers, and they treat their talent well. So.
All right, then. Fine. So is there anything else you want to share with us before we head out? And also, if there's any way people get in touch with you, how can they talk to you about math?
Oh, man. You know what?
Social media.
I am not really a social media person.
Okay. Well, you can email me, and then I'll vet you and then see if I can email it to her.
Yeah, I think that's a holdover from my, government days where I just kind of keep a low profile.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I get that. Because you did a lot of things that we don't want to discuss tonight. Worked on a lot of projects. Yeah, I get that. Well, if you have questions about math, you can ask me. I won't answer. I will see if Dr. Hairston can answer.
Absolutely. I'm friendly.
Yeah. But is there anything else you want to tell the audience before we cut out?
No, I think I hope that I kind of opened up some folks' minds about the things you can do with mathematics. Like, when you study math, you don't have to be a mathematician.
Right.
It can just empower you to be whatever you have a passion about.
Okay, that's good. So, I want to thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for In the Know with Kat Bobino and with my extra special guest, one of the few Black women that I know who have a PhD in mathematics, which is amazing. My brother actually has a bachelor's in math, and he became a pilot, so you never know what that degree can lead you to.
Absolutely.
And so, usually my producer or my boyfriend would hit the stop, but I guess they're not listening to me right now. Oh, there they are. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and good night.